Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. On a surprisingly big day in the Call of Duty world yesterday. Some further Rostermania updates. Velly, the host of the CDL since the start of the season, resigning from the league in kind of bizarre circumstances. Gonna dive into that one in the coming minutes. And Scump also revealing his kind of biggest pet peeve of the Major 4 and what he thinks might well be fixed, hopefully, for the World Championship and beyond. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate plenty to discuss today. First of all, I wanted to mention this. Minnesota Rokkr, good on Rokkr actually. They really open with the fans and the public on what they're thinking internally. They did effectively a press conference yesterday, answering questions and concerns from fans and really just ideas in general about the players and what exactly they are going to plan to do next. So Preston Buyers got a nice little thread together here on exactly what they're planning to do. The contracts of the players that are now over. So yes, confirming that Attach, Priestahh and Standy and Major Minnick, who of course now is gone anyway, those contracts are over and therefore they don't have the ability to exercise extending those players if they would like to. They said some good things about Attach being the quintessential pro. Thought this is rather interesting from Looney. The main AR and the entry SMG are the first two key elements. So I'm sure they're already thinking about potential players. We believe that Clayster was probably one of the players who was being talked to by Rokkr to bring them in. Because Clay says I think that he had 4 team offers last year that never went through because Nuke didn't want to sell him. Now you'd imagine that Rokkr would have been one of those teams in that discussion, especially if Attach was there and Attach was saying that he was the flex on that team. So there is a world in which the Clayster maybe comes into this team if Looney's looking at a main AR first and an entry SMG. Who's going to be the SMG? I don't know. There was also some frustrations about the fact the way the online qualifiers worked, the fact that there was so few matches this year. He says that Minnesota only played 28 games this year, which is kind of crazy really, whereas 60 matches should be a possible target. So we'll see how that one goes, I suppose. And also as kind of Crone says here, this was how things were pointing out that effectively after the World Championship ends, there's a deadline for teams to exercise player options 1 week after then to extend their contracts. If by August the 14th the teams haven't decided to extend those contracts, then those players become officially free agents and then free agency begins at that point and everything can kick off really. And as was described right here, Attach, Standy and Priestahh can't be extended any further due to the team already exercising their options going into this year in Vanguard. Those contracts will expire, but Havok's contract and Fame's contract, who was their substitute that they brought on just before Major 4, just in case they had any issues that players couldn't play, those players can be extended. Whether they will, that's another question. I feel like they might be wise to keep Havok and also Fame. I think is kind of their idea is he's going to be in their talent pipeline. They probably don't want to let him go. So they might keep those two guys, bring in a main AR, try and build the rest of the squad, but I'm not really sure they're going to, well, look, we'll see how it goes, right? But the last couple of years, they haven't done the greatest job in upgrading from their previous year's teams. And this was another thing that I'm not necessarily sure the players are going to be that happy with, to be honest, but it kind of does align a little bit with what was being talked about in the Optic podcast. But look, the idea about online qualifiers, right? Next season, are there going to be any online qualifiers? Is it just going to be LAN only? That would be the ideal environment, but it's probably not going to happen. Who knows, right? But the CDL, it's easier for them to do stuff online, even though the teams might not be happy with it, right? And as they actually say right here in Minnesota, what they might do is bring teams to Minnesota to play those qualifiers in person, which would be quite something. To effectively say, look, the CDL, if you don't want to do LAN, we're going to make LAN happen ourselves, which would be pretty cool. Then again, do players really want to travel to Minnesota to do that? I don't really know. Even Crimsix has some words on that. We'll see later today. I've been disrespecting the Minnesota boys the last few days, so I can't really talk. I'm from the UK. I'm going to leave it there for now. There was also some further comments about the fact that they wanted the only 8 teams at champs thing, which I think is, probably right from their point of view because they want to be the best of the best and completely unacceptable from their perspective that things went wrong this season, but they've left the door open to Fame's renewal for next season as well. So a few updates there. This another actually big update because we talked about yesterday the possibility of who are going to be the free agents. We looked at the tracker that had come through. I think honestly Ben was getting a lot of this stuff from the CDL website itself, which probably is less reliable than we would like it to be, saying that actually the Ultra team, the Toronto Ultra team, no one is a free agent. Those players are all under team options. So we looked at, I think, Bance, Insight and Cammy that are potentially could have been free agents are apparently not going to be completely unrestricted free agents, but the team might decide not to extend their contract, at which point they could still be free agents, right? So this doesn't rule out the possibility of Ultra making a change, but it probably means that Cammy, for example, as we looked at yesterday, can't just walk away and go to another team if he wants to. That at least is our current understanding. It may well change and evolve over the coming days because none of this stuff is really super public. Now this was probably the big news and the craziest news that came out last night, which was Velly's resignation from the Call of Duty League. I honestly thought this was maybe a joke or something, and then I was trying to think, okay, how does this even make any sense? The that Velly, like, of course, came in this season as the host of the league. I thought he's done a fantastic job, really entertaining personality, has made the desk much better. I think the desk this year has actually been pretty damn good compared to previous years, and I think Velly's been a big part of that, especially at events, the energy he brings. He seems to be getting on so well with the community as well. This is what makes this so strange, is that he was gassing COD, he was like really happy with Call of Duty and where he was and going to the event and had a great time at Major 4, all this type of stuff, and now, 1 week before the World Championship, he resigns from his post, and as the COD League say, we have officially accepted his resignation from the COD League. Wish him the best in his future endeavours. So there's a few reasons why this might have happened. Obviously, it's all speculation, we don't really know. Velly comes out and says the following on his Twitter: "There's no issue with me in the CDL, just an FYI. I won't be attending champs, and with that said, my year with the league is done. It's been a year where I was able to really find myself, and I'm really thankful for that. The COD fam has the best fan." So I just don't really get it, and I'm sure you guys could maybe kind of give some explanations in the comment section below here. And as he says, do me a solid as well, don't say anything negative about the COD League. They've done nothing wrong to me, and they treated me like a king during my time there. It's like, you know, if that was the case, why would you leave, right? Which is obviously the key question. But it must be said, regardless of the answers, right, it's a bit of an L for the league, right? I thought Velly was a great host. They've now got to find someone else, and if Velly's just decided to leave like 1 week before champs, he's kind of screwed over the league in a way, because now they've got to find a new host like 1 week out from the World Championship, right? So it's honestly a difficult circumstance all round, but like, it's crazy really the fact that even Maven and Merc weren't going to be here this year. And even looking at this, right, this is on the 8th of July, only a couple of weeks ago, saying see you at champs, right? So this, like, only 2 weeks ago he was intending clearly to stay on being the host for the rest of the season, and now 2 weeks later he's now all of a sudden resigning his post in the league. So like, okay, how exactly can we explain this one? One possible reason is that, as you can see in his bio here, he's you know, done Valorant stuff, done Rainbow Six stuff. Now I know that Riot in general, I'm not really sure about Rainbow Six, but I know that Riot, who run Valorant, if they've said to Velly, hey look, we want to give you like a big role here in Valorant World or whatever that might be, even though with what's going on in Valorant right now, that doesn't make that much sense, because like there's an event ongoing and then in 2 months time there's champions. But let's say Riot did say like, hey Velly, we want you to be the main guy for Valorant, but you know, we don't want you doing anything else, right? Which is sometimes what Riot do. They don't really like their talent doing too many other esports, so they might have said, look Velly, you know, we'll give you a bag, but you've got to leave the COD League, which would in fairness be pretty strange anyway, 1 week out for the World Championship, right? You might as well just stick it out for the extra week and then go and do that. So it doesn't really make that much sense. The other part of it, of course, which has to be mentioned, is the possibility of the Call of Duty League saying like, you know, well, okay, we'll accept your resignation, but maybe you should resign, like, kind of due to whatever might have happened behind the scenes that we have no real idea about, right? We've seen this with, you know, in previous years. I don't think it's going to be like a Benson or Momo type situation. I don't think that's the case at all, because I think more would have come to light if that was the case. And I think Velly's a sound guy. I don't think that would be the case at all. But it might be possible that for whatever reason the CDL kind of, you know, forced him away, or like he just wanted to leave himself. I don't know. It's really tough to actually decide what's going on here. Maybe we'll find out more in the coming days. But intrigued to your thoughts and all that stuff in the comment section below. What it does mean though, we're gonna have to find a new host. Lottie Van Prague was actually at Major 4, even though I guess she's doing the Halo stuff. But there's really like, what is she actually doing in the Halo stuff? Because it feels like nothing ever happens in Halo. Even though I feel like there is an event kind of soon. But maybe like she could fit it in with the World Championship if they wanted to bring her back for it. I guess that could work. Of course, we had Casey Bedford in the past. Like, I mean, also people were mentioning Slacked as well, because Slack did a good job, I think, when he was on the desk earlier this season. Scrappy says, get Slacked to run the desk for champs, which would pretty cool. My guy would love to. So maybe they'll come up with some ideas, but the CDL have got to figure things out quick. But I'm certainly going to miss Velly, because I thought he brought a lot of, you know, positive attitude to the desk this season. Let's talk about what Scump had to say then ahead of the World Championship. First of all, suggesting that actually he might well go back to Scumpii as his gamer tag like it was back in the day, saying that the guys here on the Optic podcast were saying actually Scumpii goes kind of harder than Scump does. So, you know, he's even saying, okay, maybe we bring it back for the World Championship. It'd be kind of funny if that's even possible to do, to change his name and say, okay, no, I want my kind of Activision name on the account changed to Scumpii for the games. That'd make the other team absolutely shook. But he was also talking about the kind of the PPAs, I think as they call them, the player personal areas or whatever, which were fantastic back at the Optic Major, back at Major 1. Every team had their own room. Recently, that's not really been possible to do with the 12 teams. Therefore, a lot of the teams been crammed into the same rooms. The players aren't particularly happy about it. And Scump is telling some stories of exactly why.
You've made it cool.
You made it cool.
But Scump?
Scumpii. No, I mean, think about it.
Scumpii is cooler than Scump.
So much.
What?
Scumpii is cooler than Scump.
Scumpii is cooler than Scump. I agree.
I gotta change it back, bro.
I mean, yeah, with two
I
eyes.
gotta go back to 2 eyes.
Yo,
I think so,
dude.
Yes.
For champs.
You do that change, might come different.
Yes.
I might have to come different.
All the new players are gonna have flashbacks of like, they're like, oh my god, it's Scumpii. What the?
It's not old.
Is it cooler with 2 eyes?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, it's
more
like,
like
it's not old Scump. It's young Scumpii. Yeah, no, I thought it was really good. I mean, I think that the player rooms need improvement.
Yeah, the PPAs were horrible.
Yeah, the PPAs were just
but
bad.
the PPAs at every event besides ours haven't been good. So.
Yeah, no, they have not.
And when we say PPAs, pro player area where we warm up. Usually we at our events in Texas, we always have our own rooms at the esports arena, so we're kind of spoiled. Like first event of the year, we all have our own rooms, closed doors, so no one can hear us. This event, we walk in, we're in a room with Boston and Toronto.
What?
I'm scrimming and I see Zen. What's up, you pussy? I'm like, Zen, I'm mid-scrim.
That would have checked.
Yeah. And then Bance comes in, Insight. Oh, those two are dude. Insight's like, it's the king. I'm like, dude, leave me alone. Vance walks up to us before we play them at the major, and he's like, he comes into our huddle, he's like, I love all you guys. And I'm like, dude, we're about to play. Get out of here. Like,
dude, Vance is the biggest troll in
dude,
Europe.
the biggest troll.
He's the biggest troll.
They're typing in game chat before we play, like, Scumpii. Like, I'm like, dude, just leave me alone.
They got mentals. They got mentals on
That's
you.
actually hilarious.
They got mentals on you.
Fuck no, we beat them.
So this was kind of what came out on the 13th of July when Model came into the venue and he said somehow each CDL event keeps giving us smaller and smaller team rooms. I'm about to lose it. Bance goes, this is unacceptable, right? So he was in a room, Scump and the Optic guys with Toronto, like, and they were just crammed into one room effectively with really limited space to talk to your team about certain things and prepare for matches. And like, look, if you were going to talk about strats or whatever, there's another team just on the other side of the room who potentially is going to be listening in. And of course, Methods is there, right? Zinni, like the Boston guys. So I'm guessing they had maybe 4 rooms between the teams, and like they were effectively 3 teams in one room, maybe separated by curtains or whatever they were trying to do. Like, look, obviously not an ideal environment. Now at the World Championship, that might be better. The fact of the matter is, you're doing an event like this, it's going to be so difficult to actually find all the space to have like every team have its own room. Like, really challenging thing to achieve. All the teams do say that every event it does seem to get worse though, which obviously isn't great for their warm up and everything. But at the same time, like, it's difficult to really ask that much. At the same time, at the World Championship going to Los Angeles with only 8 teams there instead of 12, it should be better. As Ban says here, it's unacceptable. Like, I'm sure as well the CDL might think, you know what, the Optic event was pretty good. We had a lot of fans there, a lot of crowds, like a lot of viewership. Maybe we'll just go back to the Optic venue where they do have the facilities to house every team in their own kind of player personal area, whereas at other events haven't been able to do that, right? So probably the key thing there that Scump wants changed or fixed or trying to get sorted for next season, or just maybe better thought out in advance how they could do that better than it's been done so far. But still not long at all until the World Championship. And just speaking of Optic before we close out the video, because last night we talked about Shotzzy, right, and the kind of pacing. This is honestly such a remarkable statistic, I thought, the Ranlo and Stats pointed out right here. This is the overall kind of, well, opening duel win percentages by player. You can see that Shotzzy actually has a rather low opening duel win percentage, so only winning 43% of his first blood engagements, but he still has a 1.15 KD and like an insane number of opening duels per round. He's involved in 41% of the opening duels on his team, which is just such a, like, it's higher than any other number in the league. Like, no one gets into more first blood engagements than him, but he gets first blooded a lot of the time. But what this means is that he actually gets a ridiculous amount of multi-kill rounds on it. We look at the numbers right here, like, he gets so many rounds with either at least 1 kill or with at least 2 kills. So it's the highest number of rounds in the entire league where he gets at least 2 kills. And that means that if you look at this kind of number right here, he's on a complete island where he has like a very high number of opening duels per round, but he still has a crazy high KD. So just interesting the way that they're playing around Shotzzy and Search and Destroy. He's been hyper impactful lately, but is this playstyle actually kind of holding them back in the respawns? That was a question that we asked yesterday. I'm sure they'll be figuring out things internally behind the scenes right now, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button and tells you YouTube God does a good video, and does like you should see it as well, and I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.